What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Nomadic channel. I'm James Showers, cleanest name in the biz. I'm sure some of you guys already knew that. Well, listen, it's been kind of busy lately. Haven't been able to upload. Sorry about that, but I got a little bit of time, and I want to make a work site topic discussion video just for you. All right? So it is a school night, so we'll just be having a little bit of, a little bubbly. But that's basically it. And we're making some soup over here in our tiny little house. So I'll be back in a second or so to give you guys a little story. So are you ready? Hope you are. Let's go. All right, it's story time. And we're going to be talking about how I got into hanging drywall and how I ended up joining the union. So we're going to go back 20 years. When I was 18 years old, I was working as a dishwasher prep cook for a place called Rustler's Roost. And my friend's mom was a secretary at a drywall contractor's office. And she got me a job scrapping drywall. I ended up scrapping drywall for about 3 months when I was stocking some sheets into a house and ran into a drywall hanger who offered me a job, and I gladly accepted that job. Started hanging drywall, and at this time my friend was becoming a drywall taper, and so I had actually 3 friends of mine that were tapers, and I was the only drywall hanger. And it was kind of cool. I really enjoyed learning how to hang drywall. And I had a journeyman named Steve Michaels. And, he was kind of just go. And kind of trained me how to be fast and efficient. Learned me how to read a tape measure well. And cut pieces and router boxes. I ended up buying a set of tool bags and getting all my... This was when we had corded guns and routers, so I had a gun and a router, and we had them spliced together with a little twist lock cable. And you could get a clip and put it on your porter cable router and just clip it on your belt. It was pretty cool. So I basically had the cool setup, and I ended up working for him for around 2.5 years, something like that. And eventually got to the point where I was outgrowing what he wanted to teach me. I ended up getting a different journeyman named Gary Michael. Right? So the other one was Steve Michaels. This was Gary Michael. And he was from Florida, an older guy. And he was a little slower. So when I started working with him, I was like, go. And he was like, tone it down. We're going to be doing clean work. And here's the way to do it efficiently without running all over the place. So I kind of learned to hone in my skills hanging drywall with him. And learn how to hang a little bit more for... tapers, and just do a all around better job, So once I worked for him for about 2 years, and then there was a house that needed to be hung on a weekend, and I wanted to work, but my journeyman didn't want to work, and this guy Dustin was working for another guy, and his journeyman didn't want to work, and they just said, hey, well, you guys want to hang this house? So we ended up teaming up over a weekend, just me and him, and we hung our first house together. And we're like, hey, well, let's take the money from that house and buy a set of benches and just team up, because we did a super good job. Everyone loved the house. And that was when I first went on my own and left Gary and started teaming up with this guy. And that only lasted for a little bit because he wasn't really responsible at least at that time, to partner half of a crew. That same person runs a very good crew today, and he's still a friend of mine. But we parted ways, and I started what was called Blue Roots Interior Services. So that's what I thought was a cool name, because I played music at that time, and just thought Blue Roots was kind of a cool bluesy rock name for my company, you know. So that was my first subcontract company, and I ended up contracting for the guys that I started scrapping for, actually, to tell you the truth, and a couple other contractors in that area. I got to a point with my band, and we wanted to move to California to become rock stars. Now, this was in about 2001, 2003 maybe, and it's probably more about 2003, to be honest. And you know, that's how you did it. You had to go places to be a band. You couldn't just put your music on SoundCloud like you do now, which would have been cool, right? So we went there to become rock stars, and maybe sometime I can talk to some of the other band members, and we could release that album on here, which I think would be super cool. If you guys are interested in that, let me know in the comments down below. Would you like to hear a Sundrain album on the Nomadic Inc. channel? Well, when I was down there, we ended up getting jobs, various jobs. I worked for the USDA for a little bit and was able to do my rock and roll thing for a little bit. And when that started kind of, you know, we split up, went our own separate ways for a little bit as a band. I joined the union when I was down there. And when you're allowed to join the union at that time, you could either be a drywall hanger or a framer. So I signed up as a journeyman drywall hanger, and looking back at it now, it almost would have been nicer to have signed up as an apprentice. As much as great as it is getting that nice big fat journeyman wage check, I probably would have learned a lot more, because I didn't know anything about commercial construction, steel stud framing, any of that kind of stuff. I only knew drywall, and a lot of it was residential work. So when I joined, I learned a lot of stuff about hanging in commercial, and there's a definite difference. We could go over a video. Let me know in the comments if you want to know the difference between having to hang commercial, because there's a few things you have to do a little different. But I learned a few things doing that, and I spent a couple years down in California learning how to become a commercial drywall hanger, and decided to move back up to Idaho area. And that is when I started Fraggle Rock. So that was my business then. I thought it was cool. I used to watch that show when I was a kid, and I decided to do, I like to, you know, you're a subcontractor. I'm not exactly, you know, putting my name out there trying to get so much work. A lot of times you're working for different contractors and just subbing out your work. So to be Fraggle Rock or whatever you want to be, you know, it's not a big deal. So I thought it was cool. It was a fun name, and I was Fraggle Rock for a little bit, and started up a crew, and did that for a few years, 2 to 3 years, until it started getting into the recession time around 2006, 2007. And once it started kind of winding down on the housing inside, the commercial end was still going. So I called the union out in Seattle, found some work out there with PCI, and went out to Seattle and started doing, you know, commercial drywall. And at that time, I had teamed up with a partner, or I met a guy out there, and we started framing a little bit. And that's when I started learning how to frame, and started getting more training on how to do commercial framing, which, like I mentioned before, was something I probably should have tried doing earlier on in my career. You can make it as just a drywaller, but it's good to know more phases of a job, it's definitely going to keep you on the job longer and employed longer, and you're more valuable if you can do multiple skilled work on a job, So this is when I started learning how to do framing, and I did that for quite a while until the commercial end of the work started petering out as well with the recession, and I ended up making it up north as far as Montana. Worked out there, subcontracting on some commercial hospitals. I did one in Deer Lodge, Montana, and one in Missoula, and worked my way all the way up to, I don't know, North Dakota or something. Worked out there for a little bit, and I don't know, it just wasn't working out. Wasn't totally digging the scene. Ended up coming out to Seattle again, and worked for Annie Johnson on a couple big projects, doing commercial framing, and that was fun for a while. And then I just kind of felt like doing something different again, and headed out to Idaho, where I started Moderate Rock, and did that for quite some time, and here I am today. Did that for a little while, and there's probably a couple other little places that I went to or didn't mention on this little story, but that's kind of how I got into drywall, got some of my training for the union, and got to the point where I'm at right now. I've had 3 subcontracting companies, Blue Roots, Fraggle Rock, and Moderate Rock. And yeah, it's been fun. Oh, and I had From the Road when I was in Montana. I was From the Road. I thought it was kind of funny. That was another fun name. I thought it was cool. So I had 4 different subcontracting companies over the span of this 20-year career, and I've worked for most of the major players in the commercial union space: PCI, WPI, Annie Johnson, Vertec at one point, Expert. There's who's the other one? Insel Pro did a big job in California for Insel Pro. Just some different things. So that all of those gave me a lot of different little bits of experience, and you'll always basically run into situations on jobs that will, give you some new learning or new, new skills as you go. You're always going to keep learning. So it's just like a little collection of all these different experiences and skill sets that have built up my set of skills, obviously. And so it's been a little mixed bag, but I enjoy where I've gotten so far. And right now I'm leading drywall work for a commercial company out here in Seattle, working for Annie Johnson again. And I enjoy my position, and I'm happy with where I'm at, and looking forward to see where that's rolling to next. So that is basically the whole little story. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below. All that good stuff. Yuki, you have anything to add to this? That's a no. All right. She's doing Tao Bao. All right, guys. Like, share, subscribe. See you on the next video. Sorry it took so long to post this one. I've been busy. All right. Bye. Love you guys. See you on the next one. Peace.